Hey there, geeks! You're listening to Real Geek News,
our bi-weekly podcast where we geek out about all your favorite geeky news and genre entertainment.
I'm your Master Sith Lord, Kevin Andrew Rivera.
And I'm just a lowly bounty hunter, Raul Ceballos.
And the best one there is, dang it! We got 2 weeks worth of news to talk about, so without further ado,
let's get geeky.
Woo! The Thing is CGI. And no, I am not talking about The Thing, the Kurt Russell movie. I'm talking about The Thing from the Fantastic Four for Marvel Cinematic Universe, baby.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyways, so this comes to us from CBR. Recently, it was confirmed that Eben Moss-Backrack is a part of the main cast of the Fantastic Four with his role as Ben Grimm, a.k.a. The Thing. The actor spoke about his role in the movie during an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, revealing how the MCU's incarnation of The Thing will be brought to life with motion capture and CGI. This is in contrast to the prosthetics suit worn by Michael Chiklis in the 2005 and 2007 films, and Moss-Backrack seems to be pretty pleased that he won't be subjected to the same treatment. He says in this quote, "I don't think it's the suit. Michael Chiklis wore a suit. Apparently the suit was really uncomfortable," said Moss-Backrack. "We're past that, I think. It's a little cosplay and amateur now with the technology. It's mostly performance capture." Raul, how does it make you feel that, A, Marvel would want to do a CGI suit, and also how does it make you feel how Eben Moss-Backrack feels about the CGI suit and the, not CGI suit?
I certainly don't blame Eben Moss-Backrack for not wanting to get in a suit and be in a makeup chair for like 7 hours.
Yep.
So I think this is I think this is great. I just don't want them to skimp out on the CGI, as Marvel has been known to do lately. You know what I mean? Like, of course, the Michael Chiklis one, he was in a suit, but I feel like they kind of changed the style on it so it didn't look so ridiculous. They didn't have the classical look like, with the extended brow that the Thing tends to have and,
Right.
from the comics. I feel like if they did that as a suit, it would look a little weird and cartoony. But I think if they're going to go back to like the comics accurate look, I think it makes sense to do CGI, and with the Michael Chiklis one, he wore the suit, but it looked a little more human-like, you know what I mean? Like, if that makes any sense. Like, so I don't know. And I think, again, I don't want them to skimp out on the CGI. I want like Hulk level CGI. You know what I mean? Like original, like phase 1 Hulk level.
Thanos, Hulk, She-Hulk kind of CGI work.
Yeah.
Even Beast from X-Men in the end of
Marvels. Yeah. I mean, I just don't want them to skimp out on it, because especially when you look at stuff like Quantumania or like even like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Sometimes the CGI for that movie was like Thor, Love and Thunder, and it's been pretty well. People have been very vocal lately about how bad the CGI has been looking in Marvel films lately. And of course, that we've talked about it before. That has a lot to do with like Marvel and how they put so much pressure on these, CGI effects houses, and the animators and all that stuff, and give them very little time to get it done. And so it's like, yeah, that's one of the big reasons why. I would hope that with this, Marvel will give them enough time to be able to not just the Thing, but all the CGI necessary for this movie. So I think it could look good. I hope they're really on it with the CGI and really give the people, the animators enough time to get it done and make it look good. So, we don't need a suit, poor Eben Moss-Backrack. He does not need to be in the makeup chair forever. So I think it's a good way to go. They just really need to get the look right and give the animators what they need to be able to make it look good.
Also, like, not to mention Michael Chiklis, this guy was, I'm assuming, thinking that he was going to do like a trilogy in the suit, which 3 movies, okay, we can deal with that in a, this whole bodysuit situation. But like, dude, Eben Moss-Backrack, this is possibly the next 10 years of his life.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah.
Does he want to be doing this for 10 years? Absolutely not like that, man.
No.
That sounds like a lot. I feel bad for whoever's going to play Mystique because they've already seen two actors go through that process, and it's just hours and hours of makeup every single day that you're working on that
Yeah.
character. So, I can only imagine what they're going to do about that. Maybe that'll be a CGI thing as
Well,
well.
well, only the Fox movies. I don't know if they. I don't know if in the comics they like changed it after a while, but I know like classic Mystique has clothes on. You know what I mean? So
Right.
if they just stick to the comic accurate classic Mystique, whoever plays Mystique won't have to be completely covered in makeup. You know?
Right. Oh, I didn't even
Uh,
think of that. That's such a perfect. Yeah,
yeah,
that
because
makes
I don't
sense.
think it was until the first X-Men back in 2000 that we saw Mystique as a completely like naked blue character. That was crazy. So
Yeah, totally.
hopefully they'll go back to more comic accurate. But yeah,
Also, like I know a lot of people online were complaining about the Thing being CGI because they kept on referring to the latest Fantastic Four movie that came out in 2014 or something like that,
right.
15. Uh, and I mean, listen, that version of the Thing looks like a Korg species. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't think Marvel wants to do that. Realistically, we've seen the artwork, we've seen the illustration of what they're going for. It looks like it's from the comics. I think what you said earlier about the eyebrow thing, like the brow really comes out. Realistically, on the suit for Michael Chiklis, I feel like that would have been really difficult to put together. Whereas in
Would look
CGI,
weird.
you can make it look more alive and more understandably believable, if it's CGI.
Yeah.
But also, I want to refer to the Beast again because Beast, I just saw X3 the other night and I
Mm,
saw the Beast's outfit and all the makeup work that they had to put on him. And the makeup looks great. But
it
then I
is.
remember watching the clip from the Marvels where you see Beast as a CGI character. And holy crap, what a difference in quality with these
Hmm.
looks, man. Plus, the actor himself is the original actor who played Beast, now in the Marvels and now in the MCU. And this dude's probably in his 50s and 60s at this point and is like,
Yeah. Kelsey Grammer.
Kelsey Grammer,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to put on the suit
Frasier.
again. Like that dude's been through that. He knows the ropes on how that works. He's not at the age that he needs to handle that anymore. So of course you're gonna do a CGI. And heck, if he's gonna do CGI, the Thing's gonna do a CGI. Just the closer we get to high quality CGI work, the better we can work on stuff like it's truer to the source material. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Kelsey Grammer is 69 years old. So
nice.
uh, so yeah, he's
Good stuff. Very good stuff.
come on, man. We're keeping it PG.
We're so PG. That's what
We
we do.
so yeah, he's up there. He's pushing 70. Yeah. So yeah, he looks just his design in the Marvels looks just like right out of the comic page, or even right out of the animated show, the
Yeah. So
90s show.
there's just so much life. And now that we have CGI that can do that, then you might as well do the Thing in CGI as well.
Why not?
But the last thing we got to bring up is, there's still like a whole strike stuff going on with the VFX teams and they're unionizing and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother thing that they're going to have to start worrying about if they really want to keep pushing in that
It's a
direction.
whole nother what, Kevin?
It's a whole nother thing. Oh man,
I'm sorry.
that was
Everyone stopped listening now.
I love it. I love it. Well, then that being said, let's move on to our next topic here. We got Jurassic World 4 has a new director. This comes to us from Screen Rant. The anticipated 2025 release of Jurassic World 4 seems even less likely due to the addition of its new director. After the rapid coming and going of David Leitch's, the guy who made Bullet Train, attachment to direct the franchise project Rogue One. Oh, wait a minute. To direct. Okay, let me reread this. After the rapid coming and going of David Leitch's attachment to direct the franchise project, Rogue One, a Star Wars story director, Gareth Edwards, is set to take the helm of Jurassic World 4. Edwards recently wrote and directed the innovative AI sci-fi epic The Creator, starring John David Washington, which received fairly positive reviews despite having an underwhelming box office performance. David Kyope, who wrote the screenplay for the original two Jurassic Park films, is still on board for Jurassic World 4. I mean, listen. First things first, I don't know why this article starts off by saying, like, oh man, I don't know they're going to make this movie if they're going to have the director from Star Wars do this. That's kind of a good thing we're getting to push back the date and giving this guy time, because
Mm,
this is the dude who worked on Rogue One. I think this is also the same dude
yeah,
who's working on Andor. Those are
right.
fantastic projects. Like, why would anybody feel like this would be a negative thing? This is going to be great. I think this dude knows what he's doing. He's a good writer. He's a good director. Um, I have not seen The Creator. I don't know
I
if
was
you
gonna
have.
ask you. Yeah, I haven't either.
Well, from what I know, I have also heard it's really good, and
Oh,
I think it's on Hulu right now, so maybe there's an
okay.
opportunity to watch it. But I'm excited to see what this guy's gonna come up with. Raul, are you excited for Jurassic World 4? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. The last one, what Dominion, really kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, to be
Mm.
honest. And God, I only watched it like for the first time like a couple months ago, and I don't even remember how that movie ended. How the hell did that movie end? Have you seen it?
I did, and
It goes to
halfway,
show like how memorable it was.
I can't remember the ending myself. All I do remember is halfway through the movie, my eyes were burning because I didn't want to watch this movie anymore. Uh,
It was so annoying. I feel like you you have the you have the original cast and you've got the new cast and they don't even spoilers. I mean spoilers for Jurassic World Dominion. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you probably don't care. But they don't even meet each other until like the third act of the movie. It was like so frustrating, and ridiculous. And they had this stupid they had this dumb B story about locusts and it was just like what the hell like
you know what's
it's
crazy is
so annoying.
I think I put that movie in the back of my mind, like just so far back there that I didn't even remember the locust stuff. That's
I'm
that.
surprised I do, to be honest. It just felt like two different movies, completely different movies, and they just like jammed them together in a way that just was nonsensical. All right, that's a whole other thing. But
Jurassic World, the first Jurassic World was cool. The second
yeah,
Jurassic World was like, it's alright. And then the third one was just like, what? What is this? What
it's
do I.
basically how I feel about the sequel trilogy. It's the exact way I feel about each of those. You know, from The Force Awakens to Rise of Skywalker. It's the same with Jurassic World 1 through 3.
So do you feel like this should be called Jurassic World 4, or do you think they should do something different? Like, is this a soft reboot kind of thing?
I don't know. I don't think it's a soft reboot. I think they're trying to continue it because I think I heard didn't Bryce Dallas Howard say like not too long ago in an interview that she thinks she says it's pretty likely that they'll continue.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh, I mean,
it's
hopefully.
gonna yeah. This is gonna take. I mean, I will say Gareth Edwards is a great director, so that's a plus. You
Yeah.
know.
Like
Um,
or at least they're trying to get our confidence in in this franchise back. But
yeah.
like it was just such a sour taste. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
we're not talking about the Sony verse here, like we're not like Madam Webbing it and then also Morbius Morbin time and then you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not one after another. It's just one pretty bad movie. So and they made $1 billion with this movie. So like
That's the thing. It's so like clearly people went out in droves to see Dominion. So the audience was there, but critically it wasn't great. So it's just weird. I don't know how you make heads or tails of things like that. But I will say so. David Koepp, who wrote the screenplay for the first two, so depending on how you look at that, he wrote the screenplay for the original Jurassic Park, but he also wrote the screenplay for the second one for God, what's The Lost World. So take that
uh,
take that on its surface. So he was hit and miss with those two. But
hmm.
I don't know. I'm not feeling the excitement right now, even with Gareth Edwards attached, which is hard, which I can't believe that because I love him. I love the stuff I've seen of him. And yeah, Rogue One is just amazing. And Andor is amazing. All this, the stuff he's had his hand in as far as like Star Wars specifically. So you'd think I would get excited, but it's just not enough for me yet to get excited.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat. I feel optimistic about it now, but I don't feel the adrenaline pumping through my body kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that they're at least taking it seriously and wanting to make sure the next one's very good. So, what more could you ask for as a movie fan? Is that
Yeah.
they're trying their best to make it good. So hopefully nobody else drops out of this project. Hopefully the director doesn't leave shortly after or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's how it is, you guys. But speaking of reboots and changing things up again, we got our next topic here, which is Superman Legacy title change. Raul, would you like to read this one here?
Sure. So here's the article from Hollywood Reporter, a little excerpt. Drop the legacy. James Gunn revealed that his new Superman movie will simply be called Superman. Writing in a post celebrating the first day of filming, he said, "When I finished the first draft of the script, I called the film Superman Legacy. By the time I locked the final draft, it was clear that the title was Superman. Making our way to you, July 2025." Along with the post, he shared an image of the Superman logo from the film, which was previously called Superman Legacy. The snow dusting on the logo suggests a scene set in the Fortress of Solitude, Superman's Arctic fortress.
So we got a picture on the bottom here, which, the viewers or listeners won't be able to see it, but we can. It's a very big Superman crest that kind of resembles the
chest plate.
It's the chest plate. It kind of looks like the Kingdom Come style of Superman, except it's a different color scheme. The yellow would be black, and the red's still red. But that does ponder a lot of questions. But I want to hear your first thoughts on that, Raul. How do you feel about all this?
I love it. Superman. Just call it Superman. I mean, I eventually got used to Superman Legacy, because I feel like that's how all movies are now. You can't just have, you gotta have the title and you gotta have a subtitle, especially with sequels. It's like, Star Trek Into Darkness, Star Trek Beyond, like we got away from, well, I mean, sometimes just saying 1, 2, 3, and 4 is boring, but I don't know. At first I was like, Superman, like, why can't we just call it Superman? I eventually got used to it. But then James Gunn makes this announcement, bleh, and I'm like, yes, thank you. That's perfect. It's just Superman. This is a brand new rebooted universe. You don't need. I feel like putting a subtitle kind of implies that it's still a continuation of something because you feel like you need to separate it from everything that came before. No, man, it's a rebooted universe, rebooted series of films. Just come out the gate, Superman. You don't need to. This is it. This is our Superman for this universe. It's just Superman. You know what I mean?
It's also It's a nice change of pace from Man of Steel. Like Man of Steel feels very harsh and hardcore and dark. Yeah. Whereas Superman just feels you sense that bright energy.
Hopeful. It's that's the thing. It's Superman. Just I think Man of Steel kind of we got it associated with kind of the darker Zack Snyder universe. So Man of Steel became synonymous, at least with me, with the darker universe. You go back to Superman, it's just like it just harkens back to the older Superman, the Christopher Reeve Supermans, the comic. I mean, just I hear Superman and I think optimistic, and it's just again, it's simple. Just call it Superman. I'm so happy to hear this. What comes out? What pops out to you, Kevin?
Well, first things first, the photo. Right. So let me go back to the Kingdom Come situation here, because Kingdom Come is a comic book series for Superman and the Justice League where Superman is an old retired superhero. He has not been the hero of the world for quite some time, and he notices that the new generation of superheroes are starting to go down a path that is not expected of superheroes. It's going down a path that it's just not right. It doesn't sit right for Superman. So he comes out of retirement and finds all of his old Justice League buddies, and they all join forces to help the new generation of superheroes, find their path, find their proper path that they're supposed to go into. And, it's interesting that they're doing that. They're giving us those hints right now at the beginning because it's almost symbolic of the past DC stuff. Like, it's two things. It's like, story-wise, it could be about the characters Superman meets, and he introduces what it means to be a true, good superhero, filled with joy and hope, and how he can introduce that to these newer superheroes he hasn't seen before in this movie. But also, it's James Gunn's way of saying, hey, listen, everything we used to do in the DCEU, we're going to fix that. Like, this is the new representation of what it means to be a superhero. Like, this is what it means to be Superman and be full of hope and joy and all this stuff. So that alone, I mean, clearly I'm making all that up in my head of how I see what the content's going to be like. But that alone does excite me to think that maybe there is hope in what they want to do in this, both in the storyline itself and outside, or just for the corporation of Warner Bros. And what they're doing with this content, you know? But the other thing I wanted to bring up was the snow in the photo, which
Right.
definitely shows us the Sanctum of Solitude, you know, the old Superman
Fortress of
cave,
Solitude.
the Fortress of Solitude. He is clearly going to be using that in this movie. I think with Superman, there's also this thing of, I mean, hell, the word solitude is in that name. He's Superman. He is someone who is not always understood because he's Superman. Like, he's the best thing there is. Like, he's the best superhero of all time. He's the granddaddy of superheroes. It's kind of hard to understand someone when they're just so perfect and everybody else is so flawed. And so when I see that there's like this huge cast of superheroes that are going to show up in this movie, I already see the idea of them trying to turn on Superman, or like they see him as a threat and he has to step in and like present himself as what he is and what you should all be. Like, I am setting an example for what it means to be a superhero. Kingdom come! I mean, I'm going full circle again, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where it's bringing me right now. So, and also not to mention, we haven't just seen this. We've seen cast pictures showing up this past week.
Right.
James
The
Gunn
table
did
reads
the
and
table
yeah.
read. The girl who plays Brosnahan, Rachel Brosnahan, who
Mhm.
plays oh my
Lois
god,
Lane?
Lois Lane. My brain is blanking right now. She just did a TikTok video with Nicholas Hoult and David Corrin, who plays Superman, showing up in the videos on their day one of filming. And so you could tell, like, media-wise, we're gonna start getting more
Yeah.
of this stuff throughout the next year. Because this comes out in 2025. I think
Of
Christmas.
course, Nicholas Hoult, you can see in the pictures, he's already got the head shaved.
Yeah, so
Already got that bald head.
we're in. We're not trying to do a Jesse Eisenberg hair kind of
Yeah.
filled dude. And I really hope that this version of Lex Luthor ends up being more like the animated series of Superman. Because if we could get like a billionaire, super smart Lex Luthor, it really helps us with the opposite side of Superman. Like, Superman's this hopeful dude who fights with his fists and stuff like that. Lex Luthor is this horrible person, super evil, who has all the money in the world and all the brain power to fight back. So, like, Superman can't fight him by punching him down. He has to fight his mental war as well as a physical war. So, I don't know. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and this picture alone really hyped me up for it. But, yeah, Superman's gonna be cool, man.
Pretty
It's gonna be pretty
exciting.
cool.
Pretty exciting.
Can you tell I'm a James Gunn fan? Like, I feel like this dude gets it, you know?
Yeah.
Just from these pictures alone, I'm already, my mind goes everywhere. Like, I'm like, how can I do all the research I can now about what's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited for what we could potentially have to look forward to with James Gunn. Like, it's weird. He's been known for these kind of weird and eclectic and out of left field movies with this quirky style of humor and stuff like that. But those little moments in each of those films, even in like the Guardians films and all that stuff, he injects these the Suicide Squad. There's these little moments of drama that really do ring true and really have just seeing that you can see the potential for what he can do with something like Superman, getting away from the comedy and all that stuff. I can see it. I can see it, and I'm really excited for it.
Also, I'll throw in one last thing before we move on to our next topic here. I recently just saw a trailer for another Warner Brothers DC project called, I think it's like The Suicide Squad Gets Isekai'd. So it's Suicide Squad, but it's an anime version of them where if you've never heard the word isekai, isekai basically means you, the individual, got thrown into another fantasy world, and now you have to try to survive in this other world that you're not from. So the Suicide Squad gets thrown into this anime fantasy world, and they're all anime characters now, and you hear Harley Quinn speaking Japanese. Hopefully they dub that in English. That'd be pretty cool.
Hmm.
But my brain exploded because I was like, I love anime, I love Suicide Squad, I love James Gunn, and I feel like James Gunn could have easily been like, nah, don't do that, like, don't do it. But he was like, greenlit, that's fine, you can put that out there, it's cool. Either that or maybe it was already too late by the time they started working on it that he couldn't really cancel it. I don't know what's going on, but either way, that's pretty hardcore.
Well, they still got the Harley Quinn show going, so it's not like
that too. Oh yeah.
it's not like he wants everything that comes from DC, be it live action or animation, to be part of the DCU,
Right.
or maybe live action, except for there's the Elseworld stuff, right? So yeah, I mean, so I think he's fine with stuff like that happening.
Dude, it's just blowing my mind. It's all just blowing my mind. Everything James Gunn's been doing, and I am not afraid to say it. I'm a James Gunn fan. Blowing my
Yeah.
mind. Speaking of blowing minds, did you know that Xavier has a twin sister? What?
Ooh.
So basically, we got Emma Corrin about to play Cassandra Nova, and this comes to us from Collider. The hype for Deadpool and Wolverine has reached an all-time high 5 months ahead of its release this summer. 5 months. Can you believe that? 5 months from now.
Wow.
It's going to be great. With the action-packed trailer accruing 365 million views in 24 hours, it's clear that fans are ready for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman to collide on the big screen in their first MCU appearance. According to a new report, we may finally have an idea of who the Merc with a Mouth and the X-Men icon will be forced to team up against. The Crown star, Emma Corrin, was previously cast as an unknown villain, but the U.S. Copyright Office currently has her listed as Cassandra Nova, a recurring X-Men villain tied to Charles Xavier. In a previous interview for Empire, however, they expressed their excitement at getting to flex their villainous muscles as an evil character opposite the two fan favorites. She says here in this quote, "I feel really excited to play a villain. I haven't done that, and it's an itch I want to scratch. They'll get plenty of screen time, and given the significance of Cassandra in the wider X-Men lore and multiverse, their inclusion could be impactful for the future of the MCU, and it moves toward an eventual Secret Wars film." Patrick Stewart has also notably teased a possible return as Xavier for the film, an inclusion that would make even more sense with Cassandra's reported inclusion. This is totally mind-blowing. I mean, listen, when I first saw the trailer when it came out for Deadpool 3, everybody saw this bald-headed person, and clearly Lex Luthor's not showing up in the MCU, so it's got to be either, Xavier or someone else. And, a lot of people online were making this thought that, they're theorizing this could be Cassandra Nova.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
for all the people who don't know who Cassandra Nova is, I've been explaining earlier, she's the twin sister of Xavier, but she died, quote unquote, in the womb after having a telekinetic battle with her brother in the womb.
It's nuts.
And she survived, I guess, after she was killed in the womb.
Yeah, she survived and ended up in a sewer and was able to put her molecules together to form a new body. It's
crazy.
So trippy, the story with Cassandra Nova.
I like the idea that it took her 65 years to do that, just because you see Patrick Stewart, if we're saying that Patrick Stewart's Xavier is connected to this Cassandra Nova and she's a younger actress, then, I'd like to think that she used her brain power to make herself young within 65 years' time.
I was going to ask that. Because she's younger than Patrick Stewart, are we to think that she's still the same sister to Patrick Stewart, or because she's younger, we might get a McAvoy reveal and
maybe
find out that she's actually the sister of that version of Xavier?
It could go either way at that point. I mean, the other beautiful thing is that it's multiverse. So,
yep.
She might not even be related to any of those versions of Xavier, But
yeah,
also,
she could be her own, her completely different,
There's something I brought up last time we talked about the Deadpool 3 trailer, which was I had this theory that, in the comics, pushing my glasses up, in the comics of Deadpool where he kills the X-Men universe or kills the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Marvel Universe.
Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe.
Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Xavier tries to stop Deadpool and starts to get into his mind, and he realizes by doing his telekinesis powers and whatever, he sees into Deadpool's mind and realizes that the reason Deadpool has a fourth wall break is because he knows that he's in a comic book, and he knows that there's people reading, and they're all part of this small thing that has nothing to do with real life. And so it destroys Xavier's brain, and that's how Xavier dies in the comic in that storyline, because he's just so dumbfounded at the fact that, like, oh my God, none of us exist. Like, none of us are real. We're all in a comic book. Oh my God. And I think if they play their cards right, that's how they're going to kill Cassandra Nova, is if she tries to read Deadpool's mind and realizes she's in a movie and, like, all of this is fake. That would be crazy.
It's so weird because I've told you before, I don't know how I feel about the potential of them, like, canonizing his ability to break the fourth wall as a power, as a unique power of his. I don't know. I'm so
to me it only works in certain settings like this, where it's like it's just the funniest way to kill off a Marvel character, you know, because no one else is gonna know what's going on except for Cassandra once she gets into Deadpool's mind and realizes what's going on. Because, you know, in the comics when Xavier did that, he immediately died. Like his brain exploded and he died. And so no one got to know what happened. It was more of an inside joke for us as the audience. And so, you know, I could see that being a thing. But I do agree with you that, like, there's a lot of fourth wall breaks happening more and more in the MCU. Now with Deadpool, we have She-Hulk. And, you know, there's other characters from the Deadpool universe that try to do that as well. So we'll see how far we can really push it until it's too much, I suppose.
Wanda breaks the fourth wall at some point in Multiverse of Madness.
She totally does. That's so true.
Looks directly at the camera. Yep.
Right. I didn't even think of that.
Nexus beings, man.
Nexus beings, man.
Beings. It could be that.
It's totally it. But if they decided to not kill her off in this movie,
She-Hulk. Maybe She-Hulk's a Nexus being. Sorry.
Like, there's just so many opportunities for this storyline. Like, I love where it could possibly go. Like, I love the possibilities. I feel just as excited about this as I do about Superman. So, you know, I think superhero movies, we're getting back up there. We're going back up. We're getting up the hill and killing it, you know?
I just worry. Well, I guess, I don't know. This could be a concern for in general, but like with Cassandra Nova coming in, like I'm curious to see how they balance that with the Deadpool sensibility. You know what I mean? A big kind of villain like this with, like, the humor and all that stuff. Well, I mean, I don't know. They've done a great job so far with Deadpool 1 and 2. So I know I can only just trust that they'll know the balance.
God, do I want it to be good. I really, really, really want it to be good. But all we can do is wait.
Yep.
We can do is wait. All this cinematic universe stuff, though, Raul, there is actually an even bigger, more crazy cinematic universe that's about to submerge. And I know you know what I'm talking about, but these guys don't, so let's tell them. We got the Beatles movies? Question mark?
Yep.
This comes to us from the Hollywood Reporter. Raul, take it away.
So, days after Paramount's Bob Marley One Love overperformed in its opening weekend at the box office, Sony Pictures chief Tom Rothman stole a bit of the spotlight February 20th in unveiling not one, but 4 intersecting feature films from Sam Mendes about the Beatles, each focusing on one member of the Fab Four: John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. You have to match, and here's a quote from Rothman, "You have to match the boldness of the idea with a bold release strategy," Rothman tells The Hollywood Reporter about the project that earned the Oscar-winning director a coveted sign-off from the group's selective label Applecore. There hasn't been an enterprise like this before, and you can't think about it in a traditional releasing terms. Sony hopes the films, which don't yet have writers on board, will begin shooting in the UK in mid-2025 to make the planned 2027, that's not a real number, release for all 4 titles, with the studio expecting to shoot them together. The studio won't have a sense of the film's budget until scripts are written, but this is likely a large-scale undertaking given that there are 4 separate period films, and Mendes was aligned with Sony on theatrical being essential for the project.
Ooh.
This is nuts. We got the DCU, we got the MCU, now we got the BCU. We got the Beatles here forming their own cinematic universe.
Heck
This
yeah.
is so weird and trippy to me. I mean, I'm intrigued. I am intrigued. I'm just like, can this be done? I mean,
You
like,
think it can be done?
well, why not? I mean, 4 separate movies for each of the 4 members of the Beatles, like, rather than just like do one biopic. And then, I don't know, are they going to do like an Avengers style thing where after they release the 4 movies, they do just like
The
an
Beatles
Avengers style
movie?
like Beatles movie where they finally all meet and they start the band and all that stuff. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how I feel about this, honestly. I don't know how I feel one way or another. I like I was trying to think where am I? Hold on, I lost the. Oh, Sam Mendes, who is the director of Skyfall, and I
Yeah.
love Skyfall. I think he's a great director, and he's got a great sense of of cinematography and style and all that stuff. So I think that, and to see those sensibilities put in a period film, with the
Mm.
Beatles, that's intriguing to me. So I like the idea that Sam Mendes is attached, and yeah, it's
I
odd. It's odd. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this.
Do you
How
think
do you feel about it, Kevin?
every movie do you think would be like 2.5 hours long for each person? Like how do you decide whether Ringo gets more hours than Paul McCartney? You know what I mean? Like
Ringo's is going to be the shortest one.
it's a 30-minute film. Poor guy. Oh man. But like, yeah, I mean, McCartney is gonna have like the longer storyline. Maybe John Lennon, perhaps for sure.
Lennon?
Maybe like, who's the most interesting one? Who do we want to give more attention to? Uh,
Yeah. Like, are they gonna show in each of their respective movies? Are they gonna show their time with the Beatles? And then when they all went solo afterward, that'd be intriguing to also see afterwards, like their solo lives. I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know.
Well, I also think of like, the Avengers, Infinity War and Endgame were filmed together at the same time by the Russo brothers. And so they were going back and forth filming different films at a time. So that's just 2 films, and they did that in what, like 2 years, maybe, right? So now they got to do it
Yeah.
twice as long, and you're gonna tell me you're gonna do that in 2 years? Oh my God! Maybe not as much CGI as the universe of Marvel, but like maybe they can do it. Can Shawn Mendes alone do this and handle this on his own? I mean, that's just like a whole thing, I suppose.
Sam Mendes.
Oh, did I say John Mendes?
You said Shawn Mendes.
Oh, well, he's a great singer, and
Not the same.
he'd
Yeah.
be a fantastic director, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's switting careers now.
Yeah, he wants to be a director, but
Yeah.
hey, it's still musically inclined, right? So
It's still, yeah, exactly. Still about
no,
music.
but Sam Mendes, I don't know what to think other than okay.
I don't either. Yeah, sure. Like, I don't know. We'll see when a trailer comes out for one of these. I don't even know how this could be done. Like, I don't know. How are they going to angle it? Again, are they going to show all of them together in each of their separate movies at some point? Or are they just going to focus on each of them separately? And then
My thought is, I would assume that they would tell from beginning to end each of their stories, like the way that they interacted with each other, and then like they'll always have scenes that if you watch the John Lennon movie, you'll only see certain John Lennon scenes, but then there's always going to be those cross scenes where like all the characters met up one time, and so that scene will always be in the movie for each movie, but it'll be from different points of view.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, maybe they could do that.
But like that's like maybe 12 hours of footage, man. Like that's insane. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll
Also, you have to bank on the fact that all of them will be successful too. It's like, I don't know. Which movie's gonna be the more expensive, or not the more expensive, the one that makes more money than the others? Like, like, I don't know. What if one does well, but the other one doesn't? Like, is that, I don't know. Is that going to be a problem? I don't know. This is just so I'm fascinated and confused and a whole bunch of different things at once.
Well,
As
also
to
the last thing I got to mention is that Apple themselves were like, "Cool, do it. Like, here's the rights to the music."
yeah,
Like, if Apple is feeling confident about this, maybe there's something to actually look forward to, you know? Because
we'll
I
see.
guess when you think about it, it is kind of hard to just tell a Beatles movie storyline with just them. I don't know. Maybe you could just do a Beatles movie, I guess, but like they just want to really dive into each character and make it more interesting and
Yeah,
fascinating. And it's definitely something that we've never seen before in a movie like a music cinematic universe kind of thing. Like that's
right.
kind of unheard of, you know. So there's always a first for everything. I
Uh,
say give it a chance and see
yeah,
what the trailers start to look like, and we'll go from there.
I'm curious to see what further developments come from this as we go on, and I'm curious to see what how this continues and how this um evolves and forms. So whatever news in the future that comes out, I'm really interested in.
Well, then, with that all being said, we got our rumor reels to talk about because we
Yeah.
finished our 5 topics today. So let's hit it!
Now settle in, folks. It's time for the rumor reel.
So, our rumor reel for the day is Henry Cavill in the MCU. Oh! This comes to us
Ooh.
from IMDb. Henry Cavill has expressed his eagerness to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Captain Britain. In a chat with The Hollywood Reporter, Cavill mentioned he's aware of the buzz around him taking up the role and finds the idea quite appealing. He says, I have the internet and I have seen. Let me do this with a British accent. I have the internet and I have seen the various rumors about Captain Britain, and that would be loads of fun to do. A cool modernized version of that, like the way they modernized Captain America. There's something fun about that. I do love being British, he stated. So, thank you so
I
much.
love
Thank you.
that he says that. I do love being British.
I mean, it is pretty good, and I can hear
Yeah,
that in his voice. He's so
yeah,
charismatic about it.
yeah. He's
But
funny.
it continues to say, for those not in the loop, Captain Britain, aka Brian Braddock, isn't just a British version of Captain America. Introduced in 1976, this character wields magical powers granted by Merlin, making him a unique blend of superhero and mystical protector. His stories often intertwine with magical realms, adding a rich layer to his character that could bring a fresh twist to the MCU. So basically, he's Shazam, except he's not a kid.
Uh, for Captain Britain, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah, Captain
yeah,
Britain is just Shazam,
yeah.
just not a kid. So like, but he's
That's
British.
that's
Like,
that's that's a simplified way of putting it. Yeah,
well, if he doesn't drink tea, then there's something wrong. You got to have like a nice tea scene when you're doing this kind of movie.
I'm sure you do.
Oh, totally. You have to. But okay, so I think that's pretty cool. Well, also let's talk about Henry Cavill's age really quick. The man is, I believe, 40 now, right? If
Wow,
I'm
is
correct.
he?
I think so. If you want to Google that,
Let's see.
feel
I
free.
will Google that.
But so I think at the age of 40, I'm like, all right, you know what? I think it's doable for him to do a role like this if he wants to do it for 10 years, you
He's
know?
40. Yep,
I think, oh, he is 40,
40.
confirmed.
Yep.
But I think it is doable, if he's going to do another 10 years of this, great. And that character, he's essentially another Superman, though, is what I also say. So my argument is kind of like, do you really want to play Superman again, just in a different sense? Or would you rather play a villain,
Mm,
Raul?
yeah,
But before I go into that, what do you think
yeah.
about his idea as Captain Britain?
Sure. I mean, I think yeah.
Oh,
He's British
sure.
and he's British. He loves being British. Great, Captain Britain. I could see him as being Captain Britain.
Yeah.
Captain Britain. Captain Crunch. No. I could see him being Captain Britain. I think but like you said, like I've heard a lot of people say that too. It's too close to Superman. So, but he's clearly interested in. So it's not like he thinks like, oh, that's too close to what I've done. Maybe he can see himself doing it from a different perspective that can be different enough from Superman. That he feels comfortable enough. Wanting to do Captain Britain. So uh, yeah, I think that'd be cool. I can also, I mean, I can see him doing other roles as well. besides Captain Britain, because I guess you could say maybe it's a little too on the nose, or it's just too. It can be too close to Superman. But the fact that he's kind of like the British version of Captain America, I mean,
That's pretty cool. I mean,
it's pretty. Yeah, I think Captain America is a little more down to earth kind of a character versus Superman, who's just like so big and larger than life. I think that there is enough difference there.
Plus, also like when you're trying to replace Iron Man and Captain America right now in the MCU, like who do you choose to do this? Like sure we've got Spider-Man and we've got other characters like that, but like Spider-Man's part of the Sonyverse as well, so I don't know how much control Marvel can really have on him. Everybody else they're cool, but like no one's really popped just yet. We killed off Wanda, like okay, so that's a thing. Like everybody we love is either dead or not in action anymore. So it's kind of difficult to find that decision, that leader, that person that could lead everybody.
Or even like the actors, because Chadwick Boseman, supposedly Black Panther was set to be the leader going forward, but of course,
would have been cool.
Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Yeah. But that's the natural thing, right? I mean, sometimes those types of things happen, which we don't want them to, but that's how it goes sometimes. But, I know I mentioned a villain role before, but I want to start off with this other good guy, which is we have our list here, Cyclops. He could possibly be a future Cyclops in the MCU, which, I think Henry Cavill as his Superman role, you do see like a Boy Scout kind of vibe to him. And Cyclops, I would argue, is one of the most Boy Scouts of the X-Men. And he has to have the charm of a leader as well. And I think the original X-Men movies didn't really do as much justice to Cyclops. And you would agree,
they totally shafted James Marsden. I mean, all three of those movies, he was totally underserved.
Yeah, and I think you're missing so much that you could be doing with Cyclops. And I feel like if you brought in Henry Cavill to play Cyclops, I mean, there's something that could give him more importance. You could give him more purpose, I guess. How do you feel about Cyclops?
I don't know. I think he's got the right sensibilities, right? Like you said, like the Boy Scout kind of thing. He can do that very well. I just think he's too old. And I know it's weird saying that because he's only 40, but I feel like they want to, for the most part, at least with the X-Men, I feel like they want to reboot and start younger, Whoever they end up casting as all the new, the new batch of mutants here, they would want to skew younger. That's my thing, and I feel like Henry Cavill's just a little too old to start being Cyclops now. You know what I mean? They want to hang on to these actors for years to come. So if you start them off, if you get an older actor like Henry Cavill, which is again, I hate saying that, but because he's only 40, but yeah. Very, very quickly, he will get a little too old to continue being the role, playing the role. So, except for like, with in the case of like the Fantastic Four, you got Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, which I think is different though. He's, Reed Richards is he needs to be kind of the adult. And I know in the comics they've played him, they've had him in different ages, but I think traditionally Reed Richards, for the most part, needs to be the kind of the adult in the room, right? So it makes sense that they would go for an older actor. But with the X-Men, to reboot the X-Men, I would want to skew younger, and I think Marvel would want to also.
Well, then let's jump into the Fantastic Four then, because our next guy on the list is Doctor Doom as a possibility for Henry Cavill. I like the idea of being the best superhero in the DC universe and then being the best villain in the MCU. That really sounds really cool to me, and I think that'd be a really good marketing idea for Henry Cavill, if he's really considering joining the MCU. Plus also because of his age, he's kind of closer now to Pedro Pascal, so there's that age combination right there going on. And also, the idea of hiding his face more often, it's less about look at Henry Cavill, we got him from the DCU, and it's more about look at Doctor Doom. Dr. Doom is here, and he's ready to murder some people and, be the king of the world and start the Secret Wars and start Battle World and stuff like that. But what do you think about Dr. Doom, Raul?
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see it. I just don't. I mean, I think Doctor Doom. I have not seen anything from Henry Cavill yet that shows me he can do like a Doctor Doom type role. I don't know. I'm having a hard time putting my finger on it exactly. I can see Henry Cavill if we're gonna get away from Superman and do something completely different. I can see Henry Cavill doing like an anti-hero kind of thing, but especially after seeing the trailer for that what is it? Oh God, and the Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Oh yeah.
Whatever that movie that's coming out. Seeing him kind of like in a different way, kind of unhinged, and like I could see him being like an anti-hero, kind of mercenary type character, but I don't see him yet. I have not seen anything from him yet that shows me that he can do something this kind of larger than life evil character like Doctor Doom. I don't know.
Well, then if we want to talk about more wilder side of Henry Cavill, we also have these other two on the list. We got Dracula and Mr. Sinister. So Dracula, everybody knows Dracula. He's heavily rumored, apparently, to be the main villain in the upcoming Blade reboot. So maybe after 17 and a half years, we can finally have Blade finally come out with Mahershala Ali. He'll be 85 years old when the movie comes out. Sorry for that, but it's okay. He's immortal, so he looks like he'll barely age. But so that'd be pretty cool. We've seen The Witcher. We've seen Henry Cavill in The Witcher, and he has that brooding, dark energy about him that could easily pull off a Dracula. We could also see him as Mr. Sinister. Mr. Sinister is obsessed with making the perfect human or mutant and is a constant foe of the X-Men. He's the biggest villain in the franchise that never made it to the big screen, it says over here. So that's another thing. I mean, if we're entering the mutant stuff, then, maybe Henry Cavill could have a purpose to enter there. The other question is, does Henry Cavill want to stay in the MCU for a long time if he ends up doing it for real? What do you think about all of that, Raul?
Well, I will say I do. These last two, I can see. I can see him playing like Dracula,
Totally.
and I can see him playing Mr. Sinister. I don't know. Again, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I can just by visuals in my head, I can easily see him playing those characters. What was it? What was it? The last thing that you said about what was the last thing you said just now?
About the whole universe? How long Henry Cavill would want to stay in the MCU?
I don't know. I think he would, if he's playing a character, I think he would want to stay for a while. You know, as long as Marvel will have him. Which, can I just stop for a second and just think, how crazy is it? If this is true, if he switches and jumps ship going over to Marvel, how crazy is that? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so strange, especially after everything that happened with DC and how he just kind of got thrown away like some chum in the water, just it's so crazy. He was set up to come back, as Superman fighting Black Adam, but of course that movie did terribly and they were going to reboot anyway, which ultimately I agree was for the best, but it sucks the way Henry Cavill was let go.
Yeah.
And just so crazy. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to go over to Marvel.
Yeah, it really is. It would be a slap to the face to DC in a way. But at the same time, they don't need him anymore. He's no longer required. He doesn't have to be Superman. So why not move on to the next thing? There's been plenty of actors who've gone from Marvel to DC, DC to Marvel kind of stuff. But, I guess maybe this is just the biggest version of this because now we actually have the main dude that was leading the DC universe last time, now going to a Marvel Cinematic Universe. So that is kind of a big deal, but it's also, I don't know, it almost feels right in a way. Now, let me throw this one last curveball at you, Raul. I want to see what you think of this. What if Henry Cavill is signing on to play Professor Xavier?
No.
No? You don't think so?
No.
Think about it. Think about it. Let me pitch this for you. Did you ever watch Enola Holmes with the girl from Stranger Things?
I never watched it, but yeah, with Millie Bobby Brown. I never watched it, but yeah, and Henry Cavill's in it. He plays Sherlock.
He plays Sherlock. Imagine that with a mix of the joyful Superman he tried to portray for the Joss Whedon Superman Justice League. Put that together, put him in a wheelchair, shave his head, He's 40, which means you could have the X-Men mutant stuff for the next 10 to 20 years with this guy,
I'm just not seeing it. I don't know. He's too big. I don't know. He's just too big.
He could slim down. You know, if he slims down a little bit,
I don't know. Maybe
all you
could,
got to do is
yeah.
stop eating so much protein. You know.
I don't know, man. I don't see it. You know who? Somebody like on the caliber. Remember those rumors? Well, not rumors, but it was going around. Giancarlo Esposito was saying like he would love to play Professor Xavier in a movie. I can see that more than I can see Henry Cavill playing Xavier. I can see Giancarlo Esposito or a Giancarlo Esposito type over Henry Cavill.
Louis C.K. Let's get him in there.
Louis C.K.
Let's get Louis C.K. in there. He's going to use his mind abilities to, you know, do crazy, dumb things.
People would welcome him back, right?
I think so. He would be uncanceled immediately.
Louis C.K.
We would rejoice.
We'll forget about everything. Yeah,
rejoice.
Exactly what
you have been
happen.
Privileged by the mad titan Louis C.K. Oh Jesus! I think that would be not Louis C.K. but Giancarlo Esposito would be a pretty good choice as well for sure.
Yeah.
Now that my brain said Xavier for Henry Cavill, I'm like, oh dude, like I don't know about you, but I feel like I could see it if he changed up a few things about his performance. That's all I feel about it. But
I just think for Xavier you need like a different caliber of actor. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Well, again, how do you top Patrick Stewart? You know, like this guy's not going to be Xavier too much more after this. You know, I mean, maybe Secret Wars, and then that'll be the end of it. You know,
and I did love McAvoy's turn as Xavier. I thought he did a great job as Xavier. You know, a slightly different Xavier, especially if you look back at First Class. You know, he did something completely different from what you would expect from like Patrick Stewart. But I liked his Xavier. So even something along those lines too.
So either bring him back or get a new cast with a new actor that can play this character role for the next 15 to 20 years. Maybe 15 years max. I don't know how long these actors want to be playing these roles for. I think they've all learned from, you know, Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. that once you hit that 10 to 15 year mark, it's kind of you start to run dry. You know, like there's not as much you can do with the character after all that time period goes by. But that being said, what do you guys think about all this? Send us an email at realgeeknews@gmail.com. That's realgeeknews@gmail.com. Do you think Henry Cavill would be a good Xavier, Dr. Doom, Cyclops, Captain Britain? What do you guys think about all this? Please let us know in the comments below. And by comments below, I mean in the Gmail. Please email us. Let's do this. Let's get some questions in, huh? But that all being said, let's move on to our movie trailers, Raul. We got 3 movie trailers that came out over here. Let me list these off. We got Boy Kills World, we got Borderlands, and we have Invincible Season 2 Part 2. Raul, out of these 3, any of these pique your interest? What do you think of this?
Boy Kills World. That one definitely it looks really fascinating. And I've been, you know, watching Bill Skarsgård kind of make his way through his career, you know, with it, and then he shows up here and there and stuff. He had that role in Deadpool 2. Remember, he was like the guy
that's right, with
spit
the acid.
Yeah. So he's shown up here and there, and I really like him in everything I've seen. He has yet to kind of get one of those big. I know he's coming up in the new Crow reboot. He's gonna play. Yeah, he's gonna play the main character for the Crow reboot, but. Up until now, I haven't seen him get like a film for him to like carry, like where he's the central, you know, he's the central protagonist here. I'm curious because the trailer looks pretty cool, and Bill Skarsgård looks pretty badass in it, and it's just really weird and quirky, and it's just like one of those action. I don't want to say action comedy, but you know, it's something along the lines of like a Nobody or like. Oh, God, what am I trying to think? You know, like those kinds of really heavy action films, but it's got like this weird kind of quirky twist to it.
Yeah, like it really is like a comedic John Wick, it feels like.
Yeah, and you got here's one example that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about what this movie is. He's kind of narrating the movie, right?
Hmm.
And the voice, it's not his voice narrating, it's H. John Benjamin narrating his voice
So
from H.
good.
John Benjamin from Archer. And you know how he's got that kind of like
Or
really
Bob's
low,
Burgers.
deadpan kind of voice. Yeah, Bob's Burgers,
Hey,
exactly.
Linda, come
He's
here.
got that kind of voice. And like that over narrating over all this action going on and all that stuff. Like it's really weird, but it's really interesting. And I was entertained thoroughly by the trailer. So I'm really curious to see how Bill Skarsgård kind of grows as an actor, getting roles like this, and I'd like to see him in an action film. Let's see what he does.
Also, can we just say like how incredible the whole Skarsgård family is? Because those dudes get everything.
Good, they're
His
good,
older
dude.
brother, like if you guys don't know the older brother, he plays freaking Tarzan in the live-action Tarzan film from Disney.
Yeah,
Uh,
Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah,
he's
I mean, he's
been
done so much.
his
He's done so
dad
many.
is in Andor. He's the main dude who we think might be a Jedi in disguise, but we don't know for sure.
The Emperor and Dune, or not the Emperor, but
Oh yeah, the guy from Dune.
yeah,
The
yeah.
main. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name as well. But
I
yes,
can't remember his name either. But yeah, he's Dr. Selvig in the MCU.
that's
You know,
right, Doctor
he's Eric Selvig.
And also, Bill Skarsgård is Pennywise the clown. I mean,
Pennywise.
anytime you see any of these Skarsgård family members in movies, you know it's going to be good. They're going to do such a good job. And the trailer alone, what you just said, it looks like so much fun. The action sequences, like to me, what excited me was like the fight sequences look so fresh. Like I feel like I've never seen fight sequences like this before.
Yeah.
Maybe I should watch more fight sequences, but it looked really cool from what I saw, you know? Also, can we just appreciate the fact that we got this trailer? We had, last time we were here, we had the Monkey Man trailer, the Gentlemanly trailer with Henry Cavill. Like, all these action films are just starting to drop. Like, maybe there's a trend going on, Raul, that maybe the way to get us out into the theaters again is to watch people just punch each other in the face for a good laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just good action, something that can give me adrenaline and get it pumping. And
I
you know.
love this crop of films in this style, this kind of heavy action with the kind of weird, quirky twist to it. You know, I like
Oh
it.
yes. Well, then we also got the trailer for Borderlands, and I want to bring this up because listen, I've never played Borderlands. I've never played it
either.
myself. The characters from first glance, they look exactly like the characters from the game.
Okay.
And then you go online on Twitter and you find out that like maybe I think 2 or 3 of these characters don't look anything like what they're supposed to, or they're miscast is what people have been saying.
I've been hearing a lot of drama about this. Yeah, with the
So
cast.
apparently Jamie Lee Curtis and Kate Blanchett are like playing these characters that are supposed to be in their 20s. And they're both in their 50s or 60s.
Right.
And the age gap difference is so tremendous that the real fanboys of the game are like, well, that's nothing like my character in my game. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. And people are also saying that Kevin Hart's in the movie and he looks nothing like his character. And he's supposed to be a taller guy, more buff and stuff like that. But from a person's point of view who's never played the games, watching the trailer, it looked very colorful. It looked entertaining. It looks like a summer blockbuster film to me.
It looked fun.
And I think
I don't know if I'd feel differently if I was a fan of the games and played the games. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, I heard about all this drama with the casting. I'm like, what's going? Like, all right. I mean, I don't know. Again, if I played the games, maybe I'd feel differently. But it looked fun to me.
yeah. Also, the Jack Black does the voice of a robot,
Jack Black. Yeah, I got a kick out of that.
and you just kind of feel like, man, Jack Black, he is like a voice acting chameleon now. He's starting to get like he's just better and better every time he works on voiceover stuff. I almost didn't recognize him. If I hadn't seen his name pop up on the screen, I almost wouldn't have realized that was him.
Yeah, they kind of heavily, obviously because he's a robot, they kind of heavily process his voice a lot, make it sound all robotic. So it did take me a while to kind of get adjusted to be like, oh yeah, that's Jack Black. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, as someone who's never played the game, I'm interested in seeing the movie. It looks like fun, which is cool because it kind of puts me into perspective of like, when we're emotionally attached to these characters because of the source material, and then you see something that's nothing like what you wanted, I can get why it's infuriating, but when you see it from the perspective of someone who's never been a fan and they get excited, like that's a whole nother thing, So maybe this movie has a pretty good shot of making a bunch of money, and good for them. If it works out, great. If not, then I don't know. But one thing's for certain, Raul. Cate Blanchett needed to do this movie right after Tar because she was like, I need to get away from this Oscar-worthy performance stuff and go right into the fun stuff and do some video game stuff.
Yeah.
So good on her for
Back
trying
to like
that out.
something along the lines of Hella.
Yeah. Oh my God. It feels like she does the silly stuff and then goes back to like Oscar-worthy stuff and then does silly stuff again.
I
Just
like
keeps
that.
going
She
back
can
and
play.
forth.
Yeah, she can play in both realms. I love that. I love when an actor's able to do that. And do it well. And
Yeah.
jump back and forth. Yeah.
Well, then the last trailer was the Invincible Season 2 Part 2 trailer. Have you seen Invincible before?
I haven't seen Invincible. I've heard a lot. I know. I've heard a lot of great things about it.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Then I won't be able to say too much about this then, but I will say the Season 2 Part 1 was pretty damn good. But at the same time, because it's a part 1, like you're going to be left at a cliffhanger, so it felt incomplete. So now that part 2 is coming out, I'm hoping that really kind of sets the mood for the rest of that season and sends it home so that I can just be ready and satisfied and can't wait for season 3.
Does it get you excited? Yeah.
The trailer did get me excited, but it feels like someone paused a movie, like a 2.5-hour movie, halfway through and said, you can't watch the rest of the movie till like next year. And I'm like,
it's like what
they
did with Stranger Things, like the last season of Stranger Things, where they put it out in 2 parts.
Yeah, that's where it's like I know Netflix is trying that, and now this is Amazon doing this. Amazon's trying this out because they're trying to see if they can get more engagement and hype it up. But to be fair, you dropped part 1, season 2, like during the holiday season where a bunch of other things were coming out, so we didn't have as much attention span to pay attention to it. I mean, I watched all of it, but like, the hype I feel like wasn't there as much as it was for season 1. So I'm hoping season 2, part 2 brings it home. That's all I want from it, Raul. If we can get that, I'll be happy.
Sounds good to me.
Well then, all right. With that all being said, we made it to the end, everybody. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can follow us on all social medias at Real Geek News, at Kevin A. Rivera VO, and at Raul Ceballos VO.
That's right, and we're also on YouTube, so check us out on YouTube. We post the full episodes. We split up the segments into individual clips too. And go check out those movie reviews we got there. We keep promising this. We're gonna do a movie review.
Yes.
We're definitely doing Deadpool 3, Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh yes, we definitely will be doing that.
We want to fit some other ones in there too. So just stay tuned. Trust me, we're gonna get back to movie reviews. I promise.
Yes, and let us know how you feel about our show with reviews on Apple Podcast and our email, realgeeknews@gmail.com. Send us questions, too, if you have anything. Send us whatever you want. Oh, you know what? I just read out your line, Raul. My bad.
That's all right. I'll take a back seat.
And with that all being said, stay safe, stay classy, and most important of all,
stay geeky, my friends.